Number 1. It all kicked off in 1957 with just a sound. A little metal sphere up in orbit, just beeping away in the absolute dark. That single radio tone from the Soviet satellite totally shocked the world. Suddenly, space wasn't just this dreamy, faraway thing anymore. It was an intense national priority. That one simple beep sparked the whole space race, leaving everyone staring up at the night sky, totally wondering what would happen next.
Number 2. Just 4 years later, things got incredibly real when Yuri Gagarin actually went up there. First human in space. He spent 108 minutes just orbiting the Earth, locked inside this tiny steel sphere. And him making it back down alive, that proved we could actually survive outside our atmosphere. It was just one short trip around the globe, but man, it proved humanity wasn't strictly stuck to the ground anymore.
Number 3. The race was getting wild by 1968 when 3 astronauts flew all the way toward the moon. First humans to ever leave Earth orbit, and the first to actually lay eyes on the far side. And the craziest part is, they left home to explore, but what they really found was us. Taking that iconic photo of Earth just hanging there in the blackness, it totally changed how we see ourselves. Just this fragile little blue marble floating in all that vast, empty space.
Number 4. 1969. Neil Armstrong puts his boots directly on the dust of another world. 500 million people were glued to live TV watching this perilous, crazy touchdown. It was like trying to perfectly land a helicopter on a moving truck while blindfolded, except they squeezed decades of insane engineering into that one single heart-stopping moment. They actually pulled it off, proving that the most impossible geopolitical goals could become reality right before our eyes.
Number 5. The very next year, in 1970, that whole rush to the moon ran into a terrifying problem. An oxygen tank exploded 2 days into the flight. Just boom, out in the deep dark. But instead of giving up, engineers down on the ground worked round the clock, literally patching together life support filters using nothing but tape and plastic. It turned an absolutely catastrophic disaster into a total masterclass in human resolve.
Number 6. By 1971, agencies started thinking about staying up there longer instead of just taking quick trips. The Soviet Union put up Salyut 1, the very first orbital space station. The crew managed to survive up there for 3 whole weeks, but tragically, they lost their lives during re-entry. It was this heavy, heartbreaking loss that really hammered home just how extreme the dangers of long-duration spaceflight truly were.
Number 7. Since human limits were being tested so harshly, robotic probes stepped in to do the really dangerous scouting. Mariner 9 gets to Mars in 1971, but the entire planet is swallowed by this massive dust storm. Controllers had to just sit and wait for months, just waiting for the dust to clear so they could finally map these absolutely massive volcanoes. It showed that robots could just sit there with this cold, endless patience in places where we couldn't even dream of going yet. Number 8. Then we decided to push even further out into the dark. Pioneer 10 launches in 1972, and its path goes right through the super dangerous asteroid belt, and it actually survived. It made it all the way through and beamed back the very first close-up photos of Jupiter. That little probe bravely led the way into deep space exploration, leaving us staring out into the giant, unknown outer solar system.
Number 9. Armed with all this new data, NASA pointed straight at Mars again to look for life. Viking 1 touches down on that red dirt in 1976, carrying an automated lab that did the very first onboard experiments for alien biology. The chemical results that came back were super ambiguous, though. It was a tough lesson, teaching scientists just how incredibly hard finding life out there was actually going to be.
Number 10. 1977 brought this ridiculously rare planetary alignment, setting the stage for a massive grand tour. The twin Voyager spacecraft flew out and visited Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. And what they found was wild. Active ice volcanoes, moons with oceans hiding inside them, billions of miles away from the sun. These 2 little scouts took what used to be just cold, tiny dots of light in our telescopes and magically transformed them into wildly complex, breathing worlds. Number 11. Going to space over and over meant we needed a totally new ride. So in 1981, Columbia launches as the world's first reusable winged spacecraft. The astronauts were risking absolutely everything to test a ship that had never even been to space before. It was like jumping out of a plane with a parachute that had only ever been tested on a computer simulation. Just incredible bravery. But it worked, and reusability became the total foundation for all future space travel.
Number 12.
Those heavy shuttle payloads meant we could suddenly haul giant observatories up above the atmosphere. Hubble launches in 1990, but its primary mirror was flawed. The pictures were blurry, so astronauts had to go up and pull off this incredibly risky spacewalk just to install corrective optics. Once they fixed its vision, that telescope showed us the actual age of the universe and just how fast it's expanding into the endless dark.
Number 13. Deep space robotics got a huge upgrade at Saturn in 2004. The Cassini probe hung out orbiting Saturn for 13 years, and it even dropped a lander right onto its moon Titan. It found literal hydrocarbon seas on Titan and liquid water plumes shooting out of Enceladus. It made these deep space ocean worlds the absolute prime targets if we ever want to find extraterrestrial life out there.
Number 14. While all that robotic exploring was happening, we were also building a permanent home in low Earth orbit. Starting in 1998, 15 nations pooled their resources to build the International Space Station. Humans have been living up there continuously for over 25 years. It's pretty amazing to think that former Cold War rivals figured out how to make long-term cooperation in space a real working thing.
Number 15. From Earth orbit, we got new tools to look way past our own solar system. Kepler launched in 2009, basically just staring at thousands of distant stars, waiting to see tiny shadows pass in front of them. It found thousands of exoplanets scattered all across our galaxy. It basically proved that planets are way more common than stars, which means the sky is practically overflowing with other worlds.
Number 16. Back on the surface of Mars, the vibe shifted to long-term robotic geology. In 2012, Curiosity actually lowered itself down using a literal rocket-powered sky crane. I mean, how wild is that? This big nuclear rover started digging around and found these ancient lake beds that totally could have supported microbial life. It shifted our whole view of Mars from just this dead rock to an ancient, once habitable world.
Number 17. We just kept pushing out to the very edges. New Horizons went sprinting past Pluto in 2015 after flying for 9 whole years. And when it finally sent back those high-resolution photos, it wasn't just a boring cratered rock. It had these towering icy mountains and flowing nitrogen glaciers. Just a super dynamic, active world, officially wrapping up our first real look at all the classic planets. Number 18. Scientists knew they needed an insanely huge eye to see all the way back to the dawn of cosmic time. So the James Webb Space Telescope goes out into deep space in 2021 and unfolds this massive, gorgeous gold mirror. It's essentially like dropping a microphone into the ocean and hearing a raindrop hit the water on the other side of the planet. It captured infrared light from the very first galaxies born right after the Big Bang, letting us actually watch the universe being built.
Number 19. The farthest physical thing we've ever touched actually broke out of our sun's magnetic bubble. Voyager 1 drifted into interstellar space, holding on to this quiet, golden record filled with the sounds of Earth. Its tiny little transmitter is still whispering signals to us across billions of miles, barely using any power at all. That little craft is going to outlast our entire planet, just floating out there as a silent monument to our curiosity.
Number 20. When you think about it, space exploration isn't just about collecting cold scientific data or reaching distant rocks. Every single time we launch something, we're testing the very limits of what humans can do against this completely unforgiving void. By looking for answers out there among the distant stars, we end up learning how to truly understand our own fragile little home. Stepping out into all that dark just reveals the true measure of our endurance and our unity as a species. Because if every launch tests our limits, what in the universe are we going to discover about ourselves when we finally set foot on Mars? Hey, if you loved wandering through the cosmos with me today, do me a huge favor and smash that like button, share this with someone who loves staring up at the stars, and make sure to subscribe so we can keep exploring together. Catch you later.